Okay, let's dive into this. Welcome to today's Explainer. We're tackling what is honestly a truly revolutionary shift in how we handle our absolute most personal information, and that is our DNA. Today, we're exploring the DNA Sovereign Vault, and we'll see exactly how it's transforming our genomic footprints. We're going from a world where our DNA is basically just free data harvested by megacorporations to a world where it's a secure, ownable, and, get this, actually monetizable asset for you. So I want you to take a second and really think about this. Who actually owns your DNA? When you spit in a tube and send it off to one of those consumer genomics testing companies to find out where your ancestors are from or to check for health traits, what is actually happening to that data? Well, the reality is you usually just get a neat little PDF report while they get an incredibly valuable biological asset. And yeah, sure, they might say your data is deleted upon request, but let's be real, that's often just a corporate promise, not a mathematical proof. You're essentially surrendering your genetic blueprint without really fully grasping how it's going to be used or sold down the line. And why does that matter so much? Well, take a look at this number, $62.9 billion. That is the projected size of the global genomics market by 2028. It's massive. Right now, pharmaceutical companies, massive research institutions, data brokers, they are extracting enormous value from human DNA to do things like train AI models and develop new drugs. But the individuals, the actual owners of this biological raw material, meaning us, we're entirely left out of the equation. There is usually zero meaningful consent for those secondary sales and absolutely no compensation for the people whose data is literally driving this entire multi-billion-dollar industry. Which brings us to the solution. The old centralized Web 2 model is incredibly fragile, it's siloed, and it relies entirely on harvesting your data for free. Contrast that with the Web 3 decentralized approach of the DNI Sovereign Vault. The mantra here is super simple: your genome, your hardware, your keys. By combining physical hardware, advanced zero-knowledge cryptography, and blockchain tech, the DNI protocol creates a literal technical antidote to all those systemic flaws and data vulnerabilities of centralized genomic databases. All right, let's break down how this actually works in practice. Section 1, activating your sovereign vault and the mechanics of digital custody. To achieve true data sovereignty, it breaks down into this exact 5-step hardware flow. Step 1, you load. Your raw genomic file goes into the physical DNA device over a local cable. And this is crucial. It never, ever touches the internet. Step 2 is fingerprint. The device itself computes a unique cryptographic hash of your specific file. Step 3, approve. You actually physically touch the device to confirm it. Step 4, seal. The file is locked down, encrypted using a key that lives purely inside tamper-resistant silicon. And finally, Step 5, anchor. Only the cryptographic proof goes onto the blockchain. Your actual raw genetic data never leaves that physical box. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the user experience behind that process. Looking at the mobile app interface here, you kick things off by taking your physical 3-tube anonymous DNA extraction kit and simply scanning the QR code right in your camera viewfinder. Instantly, the system pairs your physical biospecimen collection kit to the blockchain. It links it to a totally unique family kit ID, like the SK3T884203 you see here, and assigns a master public address. So your real-world identity remains completely 100% private, but the chain of custody for your DNA is securely locked in. Next up, you just hit that vibrant green button right there to generate private family keys. By doing this, you're establishing a shared digital family wallet. But the brilliant part here, the real cryptography bridge, is that these keys are generated locally, right on your own device. There is no central server sitting in a warehouse somewhere. No data broker will ever have access to your private vault. You have essentially established true, completely unhackable digital custody of your family's genome. And doing this creates what is called a self-sovereign DNA fingerprint. Think of it as a totally unique cryptographic identifier, specifically a SHA-256 hash of your DNA file. This mathematical proof is the only thing that gets anchored on the distributed ledger. It proves absolutely and irrevocably that you own this data, but it does it without ever exposing your raw genetic sequence to the public internet. The data stays safely with you, only the mathematical proof of ownership lives out there on the blockchain. Let's move on to the next phase of the journey, Section 2, approving genomic access and seeing the smart contract in action. Picture this. A pharmaceutical company is developing a new breakthrough drug, and they send a request for access to a minimal, highly specific subset of your data. The associated licensing fees and your exact compensation pop up crystal clear right on your screen in the app. You see exactly who wants it, exactly why they want it, and exactly how much they are going to pay you. If you agree to it, you just physically confirm and approve the smart contract via a biometric touch. You are in total, absolute control. And that brings us to the core philosophy of this entire system. Nothing happens without your touch. That biometric lock ensures that you, the user, are always the final authority over your data. If you decide not to approve the request, the smart contract simply doesn't execute, and your vault remains completely sealed. Which leads us to the ultimate reward. Section 3, earning your royalties, and why this is such a massive paradigm shift. Okay, so you've approved that pharmaceutical request, and boom, the smart contract executes instantly. On your screen, this awesome, gamified, glowing, celebratory animation fills your app. It genuinely feels like winning a prize, complete with these vibrant green and gold accents. And what that actually represents is a fiat-stable yield being automatically deposited directly into your digital wallet. You are receiving instant royalty rewards simply because you chose to license a tiny, specific fraction of your genomic footprint to help advance clinical science. So the crucial point is, it all comes down to the number one genome, one token. By minting a single, non-fungible DNI token on the Flare network, you establish your exclusive, sovereign rights to your specific genome. Every single time you authorize access through that token's smart contract, it translates directly into automatic royalties. You have literally transformed a passive biological trait into an active, income-generating asset that you completely control. Let's zoom out a little bit now. Section 4. The future of open science, and building a fair genomic economy. You know, the entire global scientific community relies heavily on vast databases of genetic information. But traditional, centralized repositories, they are deeply fragile. They suffer from single points of failure, funding instability, and huge vulnerabilities to cyber attacks, not to mention that whole uncompensated data harvesting model we talked about. Now, consider the shift toward decentralized science, or DeSci for short. By utilizing systems like the Deny Vault, science benefits from a globally distributed, highly resilient architecture where research is fueled by user-consented, fairly compensated data sharing. It solves the structural flaws of the old system while simultaneously making the infrastructure vastly more secure for everyone. And this brilliantly illustrates the whole point. The vault is where your genome lives. The portal is where it earns. Think about it. A secure hardware device on its own is really just a very safe drawer. And an online portal without hardware? Well, that's just another company holding on to your DNA. But together, they create an absolutely unprecedented ecosystem. It is the very first system where a person can successfully license their genome without ever having to surrender it. We've covered a lot of ground today in this explainer, from the glaring flaws of Web 2 data harvesting all the way to the robust cryptography-backed solutions of decentralized science and these amazing personal hardware vaults. This completely reframes how we view our own biology. So I want to leave you with this final thought. Now that the tools finally exist to claim true ownership over your most intimate data, what will you do with your biological legacy? Thanks so much for joining me today. Keep questioning and keep learning.